Okay, then I'm just going to show you briefly how we use these tools to make line art. Okay, so it's real simple. You just basically put line objects there, and then you can zoom in and then go edit properties, line, and you can say, right, the line thickness, you can make it 4. I'm guessing that that's 4. And then you can change this. Pretty powerful. You can make it 0 degrees. Okay. And let's just check what the length, the thickness of this is. Edit, or not edit, just properties. Yeah, good guess. I'm not that clever. It's just the default from the old version of RSCAD was 4. So I'm pretty sure this is like runtime diagrams that have been inherited from the old version of RSCAD. And okay, so you can do that. Then these breaker symbols. Okay, so we've lost those, but you've seen them in other stuff. There's different ways that you can do it. You can draw a square like this. Okay.
You are a living memory of RTDS.
I've been using this for. I remember when this feature first came out. I was still a university professor. I was so excited about this because you can have active mimics and teach students how things work and so on. Okay, so you can copy that on either side. Basically, we can make our own breaker symbol here. So when you make that shorter, it goes slightly skew. You can just set it back to 0. Properties, 0 degrees, and then this guy, you can say, right, and there's different ways to do this, and you'll see it done differently by different people, but you can basically say, make the fill pattern solid, okay, and if you want to make it exactly square, you can say 40 by 40, if that kind of thing bothers you. Okay, there you've got a symbol of one standard way of representing a circuit breaker. Now you can make that circuit breaker mimic the status of the actual breaker in the case by doing what's called conditional logic. Okay, now I don't remember if we left any breakers in here. No, but we could put. Let me just put a switch in there. So let's just quickly put a switch in using the shortcut. Okay, it's for the purposes of training. Okay, and then we'll add a Y label and we'll call it SW1. Now the reason I do that is in previous versions of the compiler, not that long ago, if you put a different name here to there, it would work, but you would battle to find the variables in the runtime signals pattern. So it's the habit that I've developed over the years. If you just got a switch going into a variable, you call them the same thing so that you don't get any confusion in the runtime. Okay, then we'll go here and say in the on state we want the breaker to be closed. There's no breaker, but I'm just providing a dummy signal. Open. Okay. So that will provide us a breaker status, and we can add that switch in runtime. So if we compile. Okay, go to runtime, and now we need our runtime signals library. Okay, now Windows 11, learning. Okay, got to be patient basically, so it doesn't suit people like me. Undock that. I'm going to have to learn Windows 11 because I've got a new computer waiting for me at home. Okay, runtime signals, controls, variables, S, inputs, S, SW1. You can see you got the switch and the integer. So that's fine. I want to make the switch, so let's look for the switch object. That's there. SW1. There's the switch. So this is just a dummy case. This switch would open or close this fictitious circuit breaker. Okay, and I want to show you that we can make it we can draw an active mimic. Okay, so now you can basically go properties, okay, and then conditional graphics. You tick that box, okay, and you got to select a signal. Right. So okay, from runtime, controls, variables, and then yeah, so it'll be under inputs. It would normally be under variables, but it's directly tied to an input, so it's not independent of the switch. So that there. Okay, all right. So now it's basically the long form version of it is subsystem 1 controls inputs SW1. That's the full path of the signal that runtime understands, and then it gives you an alias SW1. Now, alias is basically the short name of that variable, so that you can go in here and say if SW1 equals 1, I think is how it goes. Okay, then you say, so if it's 1, the breaker is closed, so then we want it solid, and red is red or green the color for open and close, I can never remember.
The close is green.
Yeah, close is green, so we'll make it
open is red.
Yeah, so we'll make it green. That's not the right color green. We'll make it like that color. Okay. Okay, and then else
It's red.
We'll make it red. Okay, now you can also make it solid black and hollow. Different people do it different ways. Okay, right. And then also the outline is black. So if you really want to be like fancy about it, you can go properties and say line color. So the edge of the box, make it green there and red there. Okay, like attention to detail. Okay, so now if we save this, okay, and run the case. Right one, it is. No, I don't need to compile because this is runtime. So again, it's a good question. If I had made changes in draft, I would need to save and compile. Okay, but all I've done since I've compiled is add that graphics element. So it doesn't require. It requires me to save the runtime interface, to save my graphics, but not to recompile. But that's a good question. Okay, now we should be able to run. Okay, and then the case is running. And we can update plots, see that all these work. Now, you've never noticed before, but you see how long it takes to update the plots. There's a progress bar here. Okay, this is a real case, and the time width that they're saving is a lot. So you're updating a plot, it's taking a long time, because in the real case, you've got long processes like the power plant controller updating and so on. So the width of your graphs is quite wide. So it's real-time simulator, so it takes the real amount of time to gather that data and update the plots. You've never noticed that before because we've only ever been plotting 0.2 seconds, but it's been happening. It's just so quick we didn't notice. Okay, so there you can see all your variables. Now, if we go and look at this case, you'll see that the case options will be very different now because it's updating 30 seconds worth of data, or plotting 30 seconds worth